Hey there, kids, welcome back. As I had stated in the previous video, I just wanted to touch base on Funko really quick and the direction that they may or may not be going in. I'm a little concerned, and I just wanted to share that and see what other people thought about it. I've been doing this for over 30 years. I've been collecting since the late 80s. I used to be a dealer also. I used to do the Great Eastern Conventions back in Boston, and I used to work with NEC, New England Comics, and do stuff like that. And I had a big falling out because my ex stole everything I had. And I was out of the game for a long time and started collecting again a few years ago. That's a long story, but point being, I've been doing this for a long time, and you recognize trends. Now, I like Funko. I like some of their products. I like the Pops. I like the Dorbz. Honestly, I don't really care for a lot of the other stuff they do, like the reaction figures, for example. I get the point of the reaction figures. It's making fun of the cheesiness of some action figures that were produced in the late 80s and early 90s. A good example would be like the Star Trek The Next Generation figures, not the ones made by Playmates, the ones made by Galoob on the blue cards. Ugly, ugly, stupid looking figures. And Star Trek, the motion picture action figures too, is another great example of that. They're just plain, badly articulated figures that go like this, and they're cheap as hell. And that's what they're making fun of, but I don't like them. I know I'm going off on a bunny trail here, but the point is, when you've been doing it for a long time, you recognize certain trends. And Funko is kind of tipping over the scale here on something, and it's making me nervous as a collector of Funko Pops and Funko Dorbz. And funny enough, my wife and I were talking about this a few months ago, and I was joking with her at the time, but it's turned out to be true. Now, listen to this. I had said to her that when they start crossing the line is when they're going to, because it's cliche as hell, when they start making Zodiac figures, figures based on the Zodiac from Greek mythology, when they start doing Wizard of Oz, or when they start doing sports team themed items specifically for teams or for stadiums, that Funko is reaching the top of the roller coaster and that there's nowhere to go but down. And wouldn't you know it, all three of those things are being done by Funko right now. They're doing the Zodiac, they're doing the sports stadium stuff, and they're doing Wizard of Oz, which is like the last ditch effort for ideas from anybody, because those are very cliche when it comes to collecting. And it's a warning sign. The next big warning sign is going to be if they do like a Happy Meal prize. If they start doing a meal prize for like Burger King or McDonald's or something like that, it's over. You can start counting the days for Funko to just wash up. And I know that sounds really cruel, but I've seen too much of this. And I'm going to give you a really good example. Thai Beanie Babies. They were massive in the early 90s. Do you remember? Some of you might be old enough to remember this. I don't know how old some of the viewers are, but they were massive. And they did the same things. They started doing sports teams, started doing franchising, because they turned from this obscure little company just like Funko was and exploded. And when you start making money, you want more. I get it. The company is in business ultimately to make money. Artistic integrity and all that goes out the window when the bucks start rolling in, and you start inflating that balloon and inflating that balloon until it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But you're going to stretch it out to the point where eventually it's going to burst and you'll have nothing. It gets overwhelming for collectors, and it's overwhelming now. I know a dealer that I do a lot of trading with, and I brought him a big box of Pops to trade with him for something, and he's like, "Wow, you getting out of the game with Pops?" And I'm like, "No, this is just overflow. I get a lot." And he said because he's been getting tons of them. People bringing in entire collections saying they're done, they're out. Recently, in the last few months, it's been happening a lot because people are overwhelmed. There's too much. And then when you're trying to complete sets, they're so spread out that you can't find what you're looking for. Example is, see back here, I've got the Masters of the Universe Dorbz, right? And there's what, 12 pieces in that set now? And how many of them are the regular edition? 4, and the rest of them are chases and exclusive editions and everything else, and you're running all over creation trying to find them, trying to complete the set, and it just drives the price up and drives the price up. It's a headache. People get tired of it. But back to Ty. I'm going to give you a personal example from Ty. Now, way back in, I think I want to say 96 or 97, I had this one. This is Licorice the Cat, the original Licorice the Cat, 1987 edition. I had found this in a thrift store at the time and put it up on auction. Not, didn't know anything about Ty because I was never into it. Put it up on auction, got over $450 for it at auction. And here's Licorice now. Do you see the point? When that bubble bursts, the high values on many of the items that are already out that are commanding a really big price are going to drop. They're going to lose at least half of their value. So I really, it's inevitable for every company to go out of style. But unfortunately, Funko is one of these companies that is not going to go out with any grace. It's going to fall hard and it's going to drag a lot of people with them. It's not going to be like the Matty Mattel Masters of the Universe Classics line where they say, okay, we've done all we can do with it. Thank you so much for your interest. We're closing our doors. And people still love that stuff. And a lot of it is very limited. There's almost nothing limited with Funko. As a matter of fact, I've even been seeing chases more and more recently. It's not hard to find anymore. eBay is flooded with them, and the prices are going down more and more because people just aren't interested. They're gonna keep pouring it on and making the money while they can, and then when the bubble bursts, everybody's gonna have egg on their face. And so my advice, collect what you like. Just collect what you personally like. Do not look at it as an investment because ultimately it probably won't be. It probably will not be. And like I said, even the ones that are really rare or seem rare will very likely lose value as well. So don't pour a fortune into any of it. Get what you like. If you want to invest in the older stuff that is not being remade. Go back and if you can find a good deal, don't spend a whole lot of money. Always look for the deal. Do your best. And I know I sound like the harbinger of bad news here, but it's just in my experience. Another great example was the Cabbage Patch Kid. You remember by Coleco, Cabbage Patch Kids, 1982-ish. And I remember when people were getting over $1,000 a piece for them. And people would gladly pay that. Where are Cabbage Patch Kids now? Go to Goodwill and the stuffed animal bin has a dozen of them floating around in there for 50 cents a piece, right on top of 50 Beanie Babies that no one else wants. That's what's happened. They started making the money. They franchised the crap out of it, overproduced everything, and people got tired of it. They got overwhelmed. And that's what happens. Think of 90s Kenner Star Wars figures. What happened with them? There was a huge craze to collect those up. People were wiping them out on the shelves all over in the early 90s. Look them up on eBay now. You can't give them away. And I'm just really concerned that that's the direction that Funko is going with this. And like I said, I'm not trying to tear on Funko really, because I like the Pops. I like the Pops. I like the Dorbz. You see, I got a bunch of them back here. I like to complete certain sets of things that are nostalgic to me. But ultimately, I'm not collecting them looking for a long-term sustainable value because it's not going to be there. And hey, forum, there's a comment section down below. Do you agree? Do you not agree? Do you have any other points or comments or suggestions? Go ahead and post it. Feel free. I'd love to see it. It might be interesting to some of the other viewers. Hey, please like, share, and subscribe. If you have not already, if you are a subscriber, don't forget to hit the notifications button so that you know that when new videos come out. Check out my wife's channel on Lady Pop Hunter. That's Lady Pop Hunter here on YouTube. I'll put a link to her channel down below. It's Bugs Bunny. And check us out on Instagram, Open by Chance on Instagram. I do try to keep that updated if I find things on clearance or sale or whatever, or other things that pop up. I will put it on the Instagram. I'll take a picture and explain it real quick. Also, I had given a notice for people who might have a Gander Mountain near them, because store fixtures, because finding places to put stuff that you collect is a pain in the butt. Kmart also, they're in their final days. The Kmarts and the Sears that are being shut down by Sears Corporation are in their last couple of days. They're selling their store fixtures, and it's 95% off right now. We just came from a Kmart. If you're looking for store fixtures that you can use to display some of your stuff, now's the time to go and check it out. So it doesn't hurt to take a look, and you might find something else there. It's cheap enough. So good luck. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you again soon.